What is happening, guys? Cowboy here, and welcome back again. So, the reason we went over to this bonfire after taking out Medea is twofold. One, we're going to go down that way to continue, but before that, we got a little sprint to do. So you may remember that the whole reason we went to take on the dragon was that we picked up a quest from Shira. Now, obviously, I sped through the dialogue, but she asks you to put down the dragon, and after killing him, you're going to want to go back and talk to her before you proceed any further with the game, because after the next boss, she won't be so inclined to talk to you anymore. So, with Medea down, we're going to run over that way. Pretty much as soon as we're done talking to her, we're going to coiled sword fragment out of here. We're going to talk to her, get our goodies, and then we are on our way back to the bonfire. So, no point in killing everything here unless you really need the souls. I do find this DLC is pretty good for farming souls, actually. Like, a lot of the enemies drop really high soul counts. But, so run this way, up to Shira. Run through our dialogue. And we get a slab. And she just tells you, like, you know, go away, now that we're done. Now time to leave the city, don't do anything else. But anyway, we got our slab, that's all we care about, so we're happy there. Alright, so from here, I'm going to go back to the shortcut. One thing I didn't mention, of course, is that having killed him, we now have access to the Spears of the Church, which is the new in-game covenant. Pretty fun covenant, too. Allows you to basically become a boss for the upcoming boss fight we're going to do. Alright, so from here, we're going to go out. And now we have our first encounter with a paired greatswords ring knight. Now, at first glance, this guy looks super intimidating. And I will say that players with this sword are super intimidating because the wombo potential of it is insane. The knight is kind of derpy with it. I mean, as you can see, we're able to basically just slowly circle around him and take him down without him landing a hit on us. You know, ring knight-wise, I think he's probably the easiest ring knight to take down. I don't want that. I want to loot his corpse. There we go. So you get the greatswords by default after killing him. Go around the monument. You can pick up the ritual spear fragment. That's an item you can use if you're in the covenant. And this is the monument where you pray and increase your allegiance to the covenant. So, I'll go over here, grab this item. Gotta go up to get it. Drop on down. That twinkling titanite. And now it is time for Spear of the Church. So thus far, this entire playthrough has been offline, mainly because I didn't really want to deal with invaders or anything while I was building the walkthrough for you guys. That's the Judicator telling you to leave. For the purpose of the walkthrough, I will also be doing this fight offline because I want to be able to establish a basically sense of consistency. But the way this boss fight actually works, if you're playing online, is any player that is in the Spears of the Church Covenant can end up getting summoned in, and they're summoned in as the boss. So, instead of fighting them, if you end up doing this fight offline, you end up fighting what's known as Halflight, Spear of the Church. He uses the katana from Medea. On top of that, he has the what's it called? That spear item we picked up just a little bit ago. This little guy right here. Where'd it go? This. It'll make ritual spears shoot up out of the ground. He'll end up using that. In addition to that, he has homing spearheads. They're kind of like homing crystal soul mass, but they appear around his head. And then the last thing he has is the bow. Actually, the same bow we picked up, the white birch bow. So all in all, he's not that hard. He is vulnerable to parries when he's not doing his weapon art. The spears that pop out of the ground actually function as a barrier, so you can't even cross them. Just touching them, you'll take damage. On top of that, there's going to be 2 painted guardians we fight. The painted guardians will drop out heals, as well as chucking guardian shivs at you. The second one comes in around 50%. Of course, you can backstab it as it's being summoned in. Now, if you're going into this fight, we got an NPC right here. Obviously, it's no longer lap. It's now unbreakable patches. He actually does a pretty good job. I brought him in and just like let him sat and fight the whole thing to see how well he could do, and he almost managed to pull it off completely on his own. But anyway, come in here. I'm gonna hang out for a bit.
Justice. Spear of the Church. Sworn defender of our Princess Filianor. Hearken to the call that summons thee. Make haste.
So don't worry about the Judicator at all. He'll die in just a second here. Take this time to kill the Painted Guardian before she has a chance to do anything, before she can heal or chuck shivs at you or anything. And here is Halflight. Halflight? I don't know if it's Halflight or Halflight. But anyway, so these are the spears that do damage. Even just walking into them, as you can see, quite a bit of damage from those. He's using the katana, as I mentioned, from Madeir. So you get to kind of see the weapon art of that in action. Shield makes him kind of laughable. And now these you can bait out. They function very similar to Homing Crystal Soul Mass. Those are the katana swings that you can easily parry. Now you heard them make haste. This is where the next Painted Guardian is going to come in. And this is probably the only portion of the fight that really gets tricky, because she is going to heal him, and she's going to continue to chuck shit at you. So I'd suggest trying to bait the Painted Guardian over, because you really want to kill her. You want her to be dead before you really worry about Half-Life. Or Halflight, or whatever we're calling his ass. Obviously, when she goes for heal, really easy to backstab her during that, so that's going to be your best time to get easy damage into her. And you can see, he can do quite a bit of damage right there. You saw just how potent his katana could be. That you can dodge by just sidestepping. The spears you can dodge by just sidestepping. His Neo Katana Jutsu attack, just block it or roll away. It's a close range attack. Other than that, I mean, it's not much, I don't know, NPC bosses are never really that bad. So, if you're having a lot of trouble fighting it online, I would suggest doing that. But, you know, for the purpose of the walkthrough, I didn't want to fight the online boss and then, you know, end up getting somebody that was really easy to kill, and then all of a sudden you guys are fighting like crazy meta lords, and you're like, well, I can't do this, it was different. So, for the sake of consistency, I had to do this one offline. Now, you can actually redo this boss fight as many times as you want. We're gonna, if you remember where the Purging Monument is, so just for reference here, what is that item over there? Did I overlook something? I don't remember there being an item down there. Budding Green Blossom. Well, I guess I did almost miss something. So, let's see. Well, we can't really see it from here, but the Purging Monument's like right over that way. You know, before we cross the bridge, over in that zone. And if you go back up there, you can actually revive Judicator Argo. I believe it's like 63,000 souls. I don't think the cost increases, but you can revive him and then do this boss fight all over again. You know, just if you want to fight a player from this boss fight, which is pretty interesting. I know there's already been some cool community discussions about people creating their own boss-type characters. This would be mine. His name is Poiseman, and he just poises through everything and then smashes you with his big hammer. But I mean, it's definitely worth fighting it once at least to try the players. Obviously, release day, a lot of the people who were doing it were playing pretty scummy, so it is something to keep in mind. But anyway, after there, we just go on up. We hit our bonfire. We hit the elevator. Which you can really skip that bonfire. It's not really needed at all. And all the way up to Philanor. And go ahead and touch the embraced shell. Of course, it's going to crack and crumble because the ashen one keeps touching things that he shouldn't. After it crumbles away, you can see she is aged, and we're basically, it's like speed aged 1,000 years into the future at this point. So light the bonfire, go on and rest, and at this point you are just about at the end of the game. So at this point, once again, go spend all of your souls. In the next episode, we're going to tackle the final boss. I don't want to do 2 bosses in one episode just because, I don't know, you know, people want to be able to search for something. So spend all the souls you got from taking down Medir and the Spear of the Church. And the next part, we will tackle the final boss and wrap things on up.
Ashen 1.